Good day, St. Lucia, and welcome to another edition of Chill and Chat. I'm your host, Mondi Lewis. They say when it's nice, do it twice. So guess what? I have Honorable Philip J. Pierre in studio with me for another edition of Chill and Chat. Welcome to Chill and Chat, Honorable Philip.
Hi, Mondi. How are you?
I'm good.
Good day to all the listeners. Hope you're having a good day.
Okay, so we spoke about in the last interview just some easy talk, your journey into politics. But for some St. Lucians, they may not know that you had a life, a whole profession before politics. So tell us, why would you have left such a lucrative position? You had your own firm to become a politician.
Well, hi, Mondi. Well, that's true. Before I came to politics, I had a firm. I actually did consulting for local, regional, and international firms and organizations. I worked for the CDB, I worked for CARICOM, I worked for the OECS. I did some work with a firm in Europe. So I did some work, some consulting work. But I came into politics basically because, actually, as I told you before, in the beginning, it was just by chance. I told you the Julian Hunt story, just by chance. But the real reason was my deep philosophical understanding that people need to be helped. And they cannot be helped or assisted only by clubs. Rotary, doing a very good job. And at my time, there was JC, it's a good job. Kiwan, it's a good job. These are voluntary organizations that do good work in the community, and I applaud them. What I thought was that you needed to change it at the top, at the core, which is at the decision making of the country. And the only people who can do that, whether you like them or not directly, are politicians. So I decided, listen to me, I will venture into politics. And also, as you know, I come from a family of service. My mother was a teacher. Miss Joseph, who was the headmistress of the St. Boys School, infant school, was also a teacher, and an aunt that was a teacher. So we came from that family, and my dad was a cop, as I told you. So I came from a family of service. They always serves, come from that service. And at my house, when I was a young boy, several people came there. They always came there, and my parents fed them, and that's where I came from. So I thought, listen to me, I have to do something. I thought the only place I could do it was to do it in politics. Okay,
and so you're saying that a big part of that was, your family upbringing, the need to assist people, and you saw that.
And not for profit, because they did it for nothing. I did it for nothing. I didn't do it. My parents didn't do it because they were getting paid, or they would sell something and make money on it, and with the money they would do something with it. It was purely from a service point of view.
So, with that said, what do you think are some of the core values that really impact on the leadership and the roles that you have taken on?
Well, first of all, I think I would like to be a servant leader. I never knew my idea of that with me. I don't to exalt myself. Like, other people that don't exalt themselves, they want to think they are the best. They never think they can make a mistake. They want to jump and shout and say, I'm this and I'm that and I've done this. Many people do not even know that I went to university. A lot of people do not know that.
Really? And you have an MBA.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what I done. Right? So you see, I like to just remain in the background, do what I have to do. That's why I told you last time, I'm the most underestimated politician in St. Lucia, because like right now, in my concern, there's a lot of fuss, people running around, walking, doing this, taking pictures, saying things about all sorts of fuss and bluff in the constituency. What I do is I'm very, very structured. I know what I'm doing. I understand politics. I know what it's all about, and I know what I have to do. But fundamentally, I want to assist people. And fundamentally, I don't want to do it for myself. I want to do it for people. And this is what drives me, to assist people.
Okay. So in 97, that's when you first won, although you first ran in 1992.
Don't remind me.
And lost, St. Lucia. In 97, you first ran and won. What were some of the immediate issues that had to be dealt with in Castries East?
Well, you see, Monday, before I answer, let me tell you something about my constituency. My constituency is a very migratory constituency. People do not stay there. You understand? And that is what I want to change. And as you come, and I'll tell you why I want to change it. People do not stay there, right? People, you know, a lot of people who live in other parts of the country, fundamentally, they came from Castries East. They came from Castries East and Castries North and Castries Central. Most people who are above the age of, let's be conservative and say 35 to 40, MC, 25 years, 40. Yeah, most people who are above the age of 40 in St. Lucia. Most people. And I stress on the word most.
Yes.
All of them. They came from Castries East, Castries North, Castries Central, or even Castries South. But Castries South was a constituency that developed later, in that they moved the people from Ciceron into Castries South. The people from Conway into Ciceron. So that's something else. It developed a little later. So many people in the constituency, the people who are there, they just came. Many of them just came, right? So it's difficult to imagine what my constituency looked like in 1987, 1997. Very difficult to imagine that. I mean, there were no lights in Pave. Parts of Pave had no lights. There is a place called Bagatelle, a place called Jerusalem.
I went there, yes. I thought I was going to heaven.
And you see, there were no lights. It was mud, literally mud, in Arundel Hill. People used to have shoes by the side of the road. When they were on their way to work, they used to have to carry 2 sets of shoes, have one in their hands and slippers in their feet. So by the side of the road, there were piles of shoes, right? When you walk up by the bakery there, there's garbage. So when people speak about Castries East, and they say, quite uninformed, trying to take me down politically and say, well, that's better than Castries East. You know, I laugh, it's laughable, you understand? But any man who can get re-elected for five times and did nothing, something must be wrong, you know? So what I sought about to clean the constituency, immediately. So what we did, that we got the garbage removed. We got the garbage out. You understand? So visual, the place looked better. When you drive into Marchand, there's no garbage again. There was garbage. Now people who don't know that will not know that. Then we sought to do, the first work we actually did was to make people get to their homes more comfortably.
Yes.
Right? So we went into Arundel Hill. All right? And we did a footpath in there. If you go in there, you see a lot of footpaths, some of them need maintenance. Now that was mud, M-U-D, Labu.
Yes.
That's what was there, right? We did that. We did something in the George Charles Boulevard. We did that, and then we began to give people a sense of being, a sense of understanding that, listen, they are people too, a sense of belonging, right? But fundamentally, we try to change people's mindset. So we started jazz in Marchand. And people don't understand the significance of that. That we said, listen to me, the country's biggest festival, you understand? We're going to start it in Castries, in a place where people call ghetto. You understand? And there's not been one incident. And when we talk about these places and them people and stigmatize the people there, there's not been one incident of violence anytime jazz opened in Marchand. All the jazz shows, there was jazz in Bocage, there was jazz in Marchand. There's not been one incident of violence in a philosophical belief that you must take jazz to the people. So we did that. And That created a buzz. People looked forward to it. I mean, vendors, people on the streets look forward to it. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, like a good time.
Yeah, and we had the largest crowds.
Yes.
The one day there was rain. I
remember that. I wore boots.
Exactly, and they called it the labu, jazz in the mud, the labu, and people came.
Yes.
But as soon as the Adequate Party came power, they cut it off. And these people want to represent people now. These same people who were part of the cutting off of jazz from the people of Marshall, saying the people of Marshall do not deserve jazz, they want to represent them now. This is ironical. It's a real irony. Because the same people. I mean, when I see the Prime Minister who come to my country, here's the same Prime Minister who was at the hem of saying there should be no jazz in Marshall.
Yes.
And then you want to represent these people. So we started that. Then and it's a gradual process, right? So we made the people get a feeling of belonging, and we made the people understand that this and that is their community, and they must respect it, and we're going to make it nicer for them.
Okay. Yes. I mean, I took a tour of your constituency without you, and I saw just all the work, all the footpaths, all the drains and the roads, the infrastructure.
And there's more to be done. Trust me.
And I understood, for me, even coming from Cicero, I understood how that changes someone's life, someone's outlook, even someone's just their feeling, because we too experienced these sorts of things. I mean, when Dr. Lewis came into Cicero, a lot of places were still literally mud. And when you talk about 2 pairs of shoes, I can tell people that, it was under St. Lucia Labour Party that people in Cicero, Monkeytown, a lot of these areas were able to feel, that sense of pride coming out of their households. So, I see that, I see the work, and I don't think people who have never experienced it can appreciate how that changes one's outlook
of life.
Yes.
Now, you speaking about these projects, but what about the infrastructure projects that you put in? Yeah. We did the Marshall Police Station. You understand? We did the Human Resource Development Center. Right? We did the parks in Touge. We did the court in Pavi. I think they said that was impossible. I don't know if you remember putting the Pavi. In fact, only last week. Yeah. Only last week. A guy came to me and said to me, he said, Boss One, remember I came to you about a court? And I remember I came here, Joe. One day we held a public meeting in Pavi. And I was on the platform and I said, listen, I'm going to give you a court in Pavi. A guy passed and he abused me. He said, when your politicians are always fooling people, whatever in Pavi to make a court and things. Then so the guy told me yesterday, he went to a minister now, who shall remain unnamed, and said, well, the guy who was actually a UWP, and said to him, Mr. Pierre says he'll build a court in Pavi. What do you think of that? He said, man, Pierre is a madman. That can never happen. That's millions of dollars. What do you mean talk about made us fooling people? Somebody who is in the government now, a minister now, is mad and things, right? When you go into government, we build the court in Pavi. It got vandalized because of politics, but we built it, and we're going to redo it when we get there. So there's the court in Pavi. Then we refurbished the Marshall Primary School, which is called the Charles Gashi Primary School, Bishop Charles Gashi Primary School. We refurbished it. We put a block on that school. We tiled it. We repaired the toilets. Recently, we did a wall to make sure that there is no, when rain falls, there are no landslides because the school is against the river, right? We did walls along the entire Marshall River, the George Charles Boulevard. We brought it right up to Anchipo, right to the Anchipo, and right around to join the Adelaide home, right? We did walls for the people in Garden Grove. Flood mitigation. These people have expensive houses. These things will fall into the sea, into the river. Sorry. The major thing we did. We had a landslide in Black Mali. I don't know if you remember that Mayor Hill, Black Mali, right?
Yes.
We had to take these people and relocate them in Kareli. We paid rent for these people for about a year or two. We relocated them. And that's what we call land reform and changing people's, and we give them the land there for I think $4 a square foot. After we paid rent for them for years, we treated these people with dignity.
Yes.
Which not because they lived in Maynard Hill, we treated them as if they were they were objects that you can just go election time and give them a few sheets of plywood and ask them to vote for you. We moved them into rented premises, and then we give them land. That's what we did. That's why these people, some of them still vote in the constituency, you understand? We changed the outlook of life, you understand? We did. So these are the major infrastructural projects we did. Then we speak about roads. We did every road in Anchipo. I mean, some of my colleagues quarrel with me for that. They annoyed, especially those from your constituency, Rosalie, and you know, they got very annoyed with me. We did every road. The Anchipo housing area has the best roads in the country. We did every road in there. The Anchipo main road was I mean, we did that. We put lights. We actually there were lights where you went to in Bagatelle and Jerusalem. There were no lights. That was mud, the mud.
Yes, I saw it, and I mean, when we were growing up with Jody, and we just, how, before this, what did people, exactly. How was that even possible? Yes. It's literally like you're climbing a mountain.
That's what you were literally doing. And we did have all these little bridges,
yes.
And things. So these little bridges across the waterways.
Yes.
You had to put all these little bridges. So we did that. So we did some major work and we did minor work. But I'll tell you something. Anytime that the Labour Party is out of power, the United Workers' Party neglects.
Well, I was just coming to that.
Yeah.
Because you've done that in 15 years.
Yes.
Whilst a Labour Party was in government.
And that's the key thing. As I've said to my constituencies, the government, my constituents, the government doesn't give me 1 cent for my constituency, not 1 cent. I cannot clean a drain in my constituency. What they do, they did the same thing between 2006 and 2011. They did the same thing now between 2016 and now. They give resources to my opponent,
yes,
to go into the constituency and pretend to do things and say to them, Pierre doing nothing. That's something that they do all the time. So what I'm saying to you is 15 years work, with all the economic issues in the country, 15 years work. And there's a lot. What I did was the human development. We give children books. I mean, I travel, I meet guys in New York and things, and they say to me, boy, and they say, Chief, I went to school with I give exercise books to children. We help them with the government's bursary program. So I supplemented that.
But you're saying all of that, and that's within the 15 years, but I met a lady probably just yesterday, and she was telling us it was COVID time, obviously, and just that she had nowhere to go. And you found paid CXC, so I was like, wow, Mr. Pierre's doing a lot, and he's in opposition.
But I don't take my pictures, give children computers and to play politics.
Yes, we're always arguing with you about that.
Yeah, every day. I mean, when you speak about sports, you understand? I started the Virgin Football competition. That was one of the biggest competitions in the country, in the island. You understand? We got Virgin sponsors. That's a big competition. The amount of
as in Virgin Atlantic?
Virgin Atlantic, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Virgin Atlantic / Virgin Holidays. Right? It's actually sponsored by Virgin Holidays with the help of Virgin Atlantic. We actually sent players to England. Wow. I did that. You don't know what people doing things for sports. We send players. And you see, I don't talk about it Monday.
At all. I'm with you all the time, and I've never heard about this one.
No. We send players to England, you see, as part of the prize money.
Okay.
To go and watch Man United play.
Very nice. You're biased. You're biased.
Yeah, we sent players to England. We did that. You don't see it. I did something we did it. I see now people making a big fuss about painting people's pictures on walls and this kind of thing. A very good initiative. I had a ceremony to honor people who done things in casualties. A whole ceremony. It wasn't political. I didn't look for people who supported me. You understand? We had a ceremony at the convent, an honoring ceremony where we honor these people. So these things I see happen, I laugh because been there, done that. Yes. You understand? Look at the major infrastructural work we did. We repaired the Marshall grounds.
Yes, I remember that.
We did that. We completely did that. The Marshall grounds had lights before Sabina Park in Jamaica. We did the entire grounds, and we were on the verge of doing the stands. We also refurbished the James Belgrave Court. It is vandalized because when it's out of power, the guys take away all the security. We refurbished that. That James Belgrave Court was refurbished. So the Marshall grounds was redone. You understand? Okay. Completely. Lights.
I was there.
Fences. So I just sit back and I look and I allow people to have all the what they call go movement. Right?
Yes, and sadly I saw that there were animals grazing on the Marshall
These are the
grounds.
disrespecting the Marshall grounds. You understand? Yes. Because I'm not in government, so you just want the people to suffer. The idea is you let the people suffer and they say Pierre doing nothing. That's the idea.
So, Mr. Pierre, what do you think for you right now most pressing needs of your constituents?
The most pressing needs of my constituents are the general problems in the country. There are people there, unemployment, health, general. They need health care, unemployment, etc. These are the more pressing needs. But by the way, talk about health care, we refurbished the Entry Health Center, talk about health care, but anyhow. Now, so we're not speaking about, we're speaking about the general, because when they say what Pierre do for Marchand, as if Marchand is a country on its own. You understand?
Yes.
But we talk about the country needs, there's unemployment, serious unemployment problems, there are problems of education, of health, etc. But the main thing for the constituency is the land tenure system.
Now we'll get into that because I know that is a big issue. But St. Lucia, this is our first segment of Chill and Chat, and I have with me Honorable Philip J. Pierre and his most coveted title, the MP for Castries East. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Chill and Chat St. Lucia. I'm your host, Mondi Lewis, and my guest, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, MP for Castries East, and also political leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party. Mr. Pierre, so we were talking about just your role as MP, some of the problems faced by your constituents, and we left off speaking about the issue of land regularization. So let's talk about that.
Land, that's the biggest problem. All right, let's start from the George Charles Boulevard.
Yes.
Most of the people who live there don't own the land. The land doesn't belong to them. The land belongs to somebody who lives now in the north of the country, or the land belongs to somebody who is in the States. Again, example. Where we built the comfort station, which the government refuses to maintain, right? That land belonged to a family who live in Anchipo, and some of them are in Canada. So we acquired it. We came in and we acquired it, so we got the compensation there, right? Now, so you have to do anything in the George Charles Boulevard. You have to go along acquiring the land and then going and continuing. First season. But George Charles Boulevard is not a very large place. If you go to a place like Bagatelle, that's where you went.
Yes.
That's a large. And when we left government, you understand, and I really want the constituents and the people of St. Lucia to understand that. When we left government in 2016, we had already begun to survey the land in Bagatelle for the people to begin to buy it. We began that already. This government stopped it. We started in Bagatelle, in Rockall. You remember there was a school in Rockall called the Rockall School? The Rockall School was taken out after the Cicero School came into being. The Rockall, all the land there. The proud people were already there. We already started the survey of these 2 areas to sell the land to the people. This government stopped it. And recently I understand that they brought some renderings, which people, some renderings showing that they'll build skyscrapers in Rockall and they'll put a mall downstairs and foolishness. Nonsense. You understand? So elections are coming. So they'll bring renderings to skyscrapers in Rockall and a mall downstairs. Now, but we started it. So what do you want to do when you get back in the government? We want to begin. And before I go there, remember we have a land slippage in Maynard Hill,
Yes.
And that land is still, we're not sure whether it's been stable. So that's another issue that we deal with. But we've relocated most of these people, so that's something that we've handled. We've relocated these people, but we have to settle that area. So what are you going to do? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do it in areas. We're going to begin to rationalize these lands using the PROD project to get people to own a piece of land. There's got to be some changes, because if you have to build roads and infrastructure, so there'll be some changes. But that's the first thing we want to do, and that is what I want. I want that to be what I leave for the people of the constituency. We want to be able to own. So all this migration from the constituency and there are them places and things, so that will stop, because people will have a decent piece of land where they can build their house, and we can, like what's happening in Anchipo, what happened in Chabot, what happened in Independent City. People got land and they build a decent house. That may not be the same, we may not be able to do the same in the constituency in terms of quality of housing, because you may recall that was virgin land. There was nothing there. There was clavier, cocoa, and Anchipo was just bush. There was nothing there. But there are people living already in Bagatelle and etc. So what I want to do is I want to get that land settled. In the Bagatelle, it's a whole family confusion. It belongs to two families. Some people are paying rent. So it's not easy. But we will take the low-hanging fruit. The areas that belong to the government, we'll rationalize it, and we're going to get it sold to the people at almost nothing, next to nothing, at a moderate price. And that time is a promise, because we did that. Land in St. Lucia is being sold in the United States, in Canada, for $1.3 million for 15,000 square feet.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
Good. Now, the profits that we made there, if we were a government that was reasonable and sensible and put people first, the profits we made there, we're going to put it in the PROD program. So they go, where you get the money from? Where you get the money from? That's almost the first question, and that's for another show. So that's what we're going to be doing. First project, we're going to be seeing about the land in that area.
But why is that so important? Because some people can't make the connection of, how a piece of property, and probably it's to no fault of theirs, and some are just being dishonest. How does owning land change people's lives and change literally generations of a family?
First of all, you can use it as collateral to get loans to educate your children. You can use it as collateral to get loans to expand it. It's yours, your piece of territory. Why do you think people are buying land in St. Lucia for $1.5 million for 15,000 square feet?
Indeed.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of ownership, a sense of belonging. This is mine, I've owned it. And you can leave it for your children, so you develop a legacy.
And what I've found also is that a lot of the land that some people are squatting on, they can't even access basic infrastructure.
At all. Exactly, because right now Lucilec wants you to give them, which I find something that Lucilec should look at closely, and Wasco. They want people to give them land paper to get electricity. Or sometimes the Lucilec, and they've been very, after we made representation, they've been very accommodating in that they say if you get a letter from the MP to show you live in there. But in other areas, they want you to give them especially when it comes to electricity, they want to give them a letter to say that, listen to me, that land, that belongs, that land has ownership for their own reasons. But if you have your own land, you don't need that. Yes. It's your land. It's my first project. I really need to do that. There's some other things I want to do, but my first project is to get the land ownership in this constituency. And we started Monday.
Yes.
This is not a dream. We started, but now it is.
Okay. So that is one of the big things that you want for your constituents. And I wanted to ask you, how do you get things done in opposition, because a lot of these things, you've done the Proud program, you've been able to build and maintain facilities, but in opposition, what is that like for you? And you've been in opposition for 10 years out of your 25 years. So how, as an opposition MP, do you get anything done in your constituency?
All right. In opposition, it's under this government, particularly now. The Stephenson King government was a little different, I must tell you. Right? Stephenson King was different. Stephenson King, you could have spoken to him for little things and he would get it done. I must tell you that, right? Slightly different. But this one, this government is vindictive. You understand? They play the politics ruthlessly.
Yes, I saw Vincent London building roads and Fira, and I'm like, but they're candidates. How are they using state resources to do anything? Right
now in my constituency, they give people sheets of plywood and building material. Just, I mean, wantonly just giving people things, you know, right now. You understand? And if the SSDF has a program for home repairs, why haven't they called the MP from Castries East and said, MP, we have $10,000 for home repairs. What's to you? Nothing. No. So they in my constituency very busy giving galvanized.
Yes, I saw the blocks.
And they proudly boast and take pictures of it, you know, and say, we're giving things. And that's what this is the insult. Election time are coming. But the fundamental thing of getting these people a piece of land.
Yes.
Right? When we were in government, we had the program where we actually gave people grants to build houses. I don't remember that, early 1997. You understand? They don't do it election time. It's 4 months for elections, or 4 weeks, or whatever you want to say. And I'll tell you something, the most time they have is still October. So time is running short. That's the longest period. So they're all over the place. Can be plywood. The same old tricks that never work. Right now it's plywood time. So I tell my constituents, go and look for plywood. Everybody, there's plywood being given, go look for it.
Because it's our money.
Yes.
It's the country's
money. Everybody's galvanized being given, go and look for it. So I tell them to do that now. So, but what I want to do, another thing we have to do apart from the land, we have to go on a serious house repair program in the constituency.
Yes.
Serious house repair program. Serious. Not a political gimmick, keep you free sheets of plywood near election time. A serious house repair program in the constituency. This is something that we're going to be working on. But I can tell you, in opposition, you get nothing, especially in that last term. That last term has been a ruthless term.
Yes.
You understand? People do things without your knowledge. It's ready. Let me explain something to you. Last time, there was some COVID response, right? The government gave me, I think, $10,000 in one time, another $10,000 another time. I think the government gave me $20,000. Could be 30, but I'm sure it's 20. I don't want to think, for the SSDF. My opponent in my constituency literally had hundreds of thousands of dollars. Largesse, doing things. And they are so bold and blatant. They go themselves and deliver it, you know.
Yes.
I'm doing that for you. I'm not doing my constituency. All over Castries South, Viewfort North. It's just, I mean, they're brazen, disrespectful.
Yes, and I think for me, what is really, I mean, apart from not being the duly elected representative of the people, so you're really spitting in people's face that I don't care if you chose Philip J. Pierre or Alva Baptiste. But I think also that almost a division it creates within constituencies, because it's not even on a means basis.
It's not.
You're giving, it's political patronage.
Pure patronage.
Yes.
I just tell me about patronage. When I do certain things in my constituency, and some of my people get annoyed with me, they must have told you so. I say give everybody. Another thing, Monday we held a Christmas party, and we held a Christmas party in Castries East from 1993. We've been holding 2 Christmas parties until last year with COVID. 2 Christmas parties for children, and everybody comes. That's an event in Castro City. Everybody. We don't see that come Labour Party supporters. Everybody comes. Children come. And I gave you the story about last May when you spoke last year in chat. I told you about the guy said, "But boss, you gave me my first toy." Right?
Yes.
We give everybody. We don't say you are UWP. Parents come and we give everybody. Since 1993. So that association is people. So I don't have to go and play. I know fellas on the block. The fellas on the block. I don't have to play. I know them. These are boys who came to my Christmas parties. I go to the bank, I meet young ladies and they say, "Mr. Pierre, I was in a Christmas party." I tell you, most people lived in there. You understand? So I don't have to prove anything, Monday. I don't prove anything. I don't have to be there and I'm there and so they say, "Oh, you not seen Pierre? You not seen Pierre? What? Pierre is."
I know. If they only knew that, how Jody and I pester you to bring us with you so we could take pictures, but you know you have your rule. Yeah. Don't come into my constituency.
So I don't have this show. So like all this show-off thing, walking all over the place, showing off the nonsense. I think that the people know me. Yes. I have a connection with them. Even my people, my adversaries in the constituency, they can identify them and say, Philip J. Pierre did that. You know? So my connection, my links in the constituency are strong. My people know me and I know them. They know I don't bluff. They know I don't have a big fuss in the election time. They know I don't pretend. They know I don't want to use them for the glory of myself or for somebody else. So I have that connection. So I'm very comfortable. I have a plan for the constituency. There's a infrastructure, some major infrastructure, but I tell you the main thing is the land. That's the main thing.
So when you become Prime Minister,
big position.
When you become Prime Minister, what, in terms of opposition, do you think, would you put in any sort of policies to not allow this to ever happen again?
Money. Some of my colleagues probably are very annoyed at me for saying that. When you get in the government, we're going to give an allocation to every parliamentarian. Yes. My fundamental belief that you cannot make people suffer because they didn't vote for you. Every parliamentarian is going to get an allocation for his constituency. Every parliamentarian. It's happening in other countries of the region. We're going to find a solution.
Yes, I know you always speak about Jamaica.
Yes, happens in Jamaica, happens in Trinidad and Tobago, every politician. Right now, and again, when people tell you about governance, constitutional change, and these kind of things, we were the party who started giving up parliamentarians constituency offices.
Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't a thing?
No.
So where did people go?
Lantigo used to be in a rum shop. That was his constituency. You know, I laugh. Because people don't know the history of the politics. There's a guy called Mentor. Mentor's son was a footballer, was a national player, very good goalkeeper. Mentor's son, right? Lantigo's office was in Mentor's rum shop.
Okay.
Mentor used to sell food and things, and that's why Lantigo had a big sign there, Romanus Lantigo JP, parliamentary representative. That was his office.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay. You see, again, and you know, you always speak of that, you know, people like you, Wanda, you wouldn't know your history, you're too young, and but then it's also, I think, very sad that even those of you who know better aren't even taking the opportunity to tell people, to educate, or they're even going along with the lies.
The lies, that's it. We're the ones who gave people offices.
Okay.
Right?
I didn't know that.
Yes. So then parliamentarians, both opposition government could have an assistant. There was nothing so before, right? And now this government increased the allowance.
Okay.
Increased it from $2,000 to $5,000, which we don't touch. Not money get in your pocket. It's money to run your constituency office.
Okay, so pay your rent and pay your staff.
That's right. So you use it how you want in terms of that. But it doesn't go in your pocket. It goes for the speaker and they pay for you.
Okay.
So the money doesn't come in your pocket. And it's a maximum to $5,000 a month, which you not get in your pocket.
Okay.
And it's not to do things, it's not to build drains. But when you get into government, we're going to give each parliamentarian allocation. I stand by that. And the cabinet will agree as to the allocation, we'll work it out, but each parliamentarian will, because what's happening now is criminal, it's cruel. You can't make people suffer. My people are suffering. Yeah. Guys can know them. Right now, another thing this government does, they give you what they call contracts to cut grass and this kind of thing, right? I cannot, the government caretaker program where they kill by a side of the field. I cannot recommend one person. I can't recommend one person.
So do you think that's a strategy to weaken you?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a strategy. Short-sighted, albeit, but it's a strategy to make me look, and they've targeted me. You understand? They do it in every constituency, but they've targeted me. I think the cashew seats, they've targeted me.
Yes, cashew seats, definitely.
You understand? So, right now, all kind of things are happening. There's a movement, my constituency, you swear. Yeah. There's a movement, my constituency, you swear it's some tsunami that's coming in, a movement, all kind of things, plywood, blocks, ready mix up.
But you think you're doing the work. Do you think that even despite all this government's mismanagement and interference in your constituency, do you think that you have made a representation for the people of Cashews East?
All the time. I speak for both of them in Parliament. I do what I can do for them personally, right? I do what I can do for them with the resources that I have. There's a lot more I want to do, a lot more I can do, but the people understand. They understand what they know, what they realize. What's happening now is bluff.
Okay.
Bluff. Literally election bluff to fool them. It's on a kick to fool them. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to fool you. I'll vote for you. You'll vote for me, and then I will get into position. So the lies, the slander, the movement, things. But there's a bigger picture. Bigger picture. Cashews East residents, constituents, must not divorce themselves from the bigger picture in the country. And that's important. All politics is local, but there are certain things that impinge on the local politics. And that's what the people of Cashews must understand. They have a golden opportunity to make history. So that's what we're doing. Okay,
Cashews East, you have a lot on your plate, and St. Lucia really needs the change. And I do believe, Mr. Pierre, that you will be the one to represent ordinary St. Lucians and even the business community, because you too were an entrepreneur and started your business. You had the support and you got the encouragement. So I do hope that is something that we'll be able to see in the near future. But St. Lucia, I have to take another break. This is Chill and Chat. I'm your host, Mondi Lewis, and again, the MP for Cashews East, Honorable Philip J. Pierre. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chill and Chat St. Lucia. I'm your host, Mondi Lewis, and my guest, MP for Cashews East and future Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Philip J. Pierre. So, Mr. Pierre, we really had some intense discussions as your experience as an opposition MP, and I think it's a plot, St. Lucians can look forward to your promise, and I say promise because I really think it's important that constituencies do not suffer because their MP is of the party that didn't win, of the losing party. So I really think that is commendable and something that should be done. But going further, I know that you speak about the lack of resources as an opposition MP, but even whilst you're 25 years as an MP, do you have any regrets?
Well, one thing I think that I could have done is I should have made the constituency engage in more discussion.
Okay.
I should have used the facilities a little more, like the HRDC. I should have had more lectures. I should have more self-education. I mean, when I started, I had a little computer center in my office, but I should have done that more. I think that I should have, although it would be difficult to get the people to come, some of the people, but I should have had more social and civic education in the constituency. That's what I think. I'm ready, and when I get back into government, I'll do that, not only for the country, but for the country. I think this country needs discussion, Monday. This country needs to, I mean, the nonsense that passes for government in St. Lucia is because people, and you need to hear from people who are not politicians. So, a promise to St. Lucia, when we get back into government, we're going to have a series of lectures. We need to go, in my constituency, I should have pushed a little more about Caribbean history, about African history. I should have got that discussion going more. You understand? And I'm going to do it for the country. Because a lot of people just say blatant lies, things that never happened. I mean, when I heard a history of St. Lucia calling to Peter Josie, it hurts me. It really hurts me. Because when I hear the nonsense that is spoken, you understand, on radio programs. So what I think we should do, I will do, is we'll get more education, serious education. Not the school education is fine, but we're going to have civic education. Teach people about civic responsibility. Teach people about caring for themselves, having pride in the communities. I mean, developing the human person. You understand? Making the people of Kashy East believe that they are human beings. They exist. They have a future. Getting the guys up on the block to understand. Listen to me. This country is mine. I don't have to live in the ghetto, what they call the ghetto all the time. I don't have to say things are running. We have to make things run. We have to cause you to read. Last Saturday, I was in Touge. I said, the guys, you guys must read. You understand? That's what I want to do next time. I want to get into the mind of these people and get them to understand. Listen, you don't have to live up north to be somebody. You can be somebody where you are.
But it's amazing because I know so many people of your generation who are from Kashy East, from George Charles Boulevard. I mean, so my family really grew up there and they're proud of that. I mean, until Dr. Lewis went up for Kashy South, many of them voted. They kept their vote for you in Kashy East, and people, it's a badge of honor to be, whether it was from Black Malay or Bishop Gap or in the Hill.
So education.
Yes.
You see? I'll tell you another promise I made to you. You see where I live? I'll die there. I'm living nowhere else. That's where I'm staying, right there. Because that's where I'm born. That's where the people, my constituents are near me. They understand my need for my privacy, they understand that. So the thing I think I didn't do enough, I didn't instill that level of that human development in terms of education, not book education. I tell you about the schools, we vocal school, but I speak about civic education. So when you get back into government, I can assure you, you're going to hear a lecture in the NGO HRDC, you're going to hear a lecture at the cultural complex on something. We need to change, we need to get this country to be more, to understand things a little better, so people cannot fool them. What's happening now is a whole fooling people. They're just fooling people.
Well, I can understand, and I can believe that this is something that you would do, because I see it within the St. Lucia Labour Party yourself and what you're doing with the candidates, those retreats and speaking about emotional intelligence and just raising the consciousness, of persons.
We have to raise them, because I mean, so I listen, sometimes I go on a radio station in the morning and I say, you think people can, and the guys know what they say is not true, you know.
Yes.
It's just propaganda. It's just to fool people. And I get emotional about it because I know that Josie knows what he's saying is wrong. He knows it.
Yes.
Because I know Josie. Josie, at some point, had a level of consciousness. I know that. Josie's about 80 years old, but he has a level. He had at some point, and he looks well for his age. But at some point, Josie had a level of consciousness, and to see where Josie has come.
Yes.
So I mean, we really need to stop doing people that, Monday. Stop doing them that. You can do your politics if you want, but I mean, just go to fool people. It hurts me, you know.
I know it's something.
Fooling people.
Yeah. So we will look forward to that, and I think it's much needed. St. Lucia, I think, too often, especially under UWP, it seems to regress.
Yes.
There seems to be less lectures, less focus on Nobel laureate lectures, less focus on independence lectures, and these sorts of things which will stimulate discussion, stimulate ideas, and literally get people talking about bettering themselves and their communities. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Really, and it doesn't take a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Let people talk about things. I mean, look at what's happening, the revolution happening in Africa now, in some African countries. They're changing their economies and things. So we don't discuss that. We're going to go, we talk about at some point our youth economy. But we don't, what you are is just straight nonsense. Money, it really hurts me,
Yes.
Because I've been in politics a long time, the points of discussion, the points of, guys just say things. People just say things.
Okay. Mr. Pierre, we're almost out of time. And our time always seems to go very quickly. But I just wanted to get from you, we're going into a general election. It will be called anytime. Are you confident that the people of Cashews East will repose their trust in you to not only make you an MP, but if the party wins, the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia?
Well, Monday, I always have my faith in the hands of the people. I always believe in people. I think the people make the right decisions, and then I never blame the people, I blame myself. The people of Cashews East, they have a chance to make history. They have a chance to make their MP the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Not only the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, but also the Prime Minister from Cashews East. That is their opportunity. I have a strong team of men and women who will work with us. I think the people of Cashews East know my representation. I've always been straightforward with them. I have never bluffed them. I've never appeared and disappeared. Right now, I'm not as frequent in the constituency as I should be because I have the responsibility of the entire country being leader of the Labour Party. I have 16 other constituencies to run. And it doesn't make any sense that we win 8 and don't get into government. We need 9 to get into government. And my job is to ensure that we get 9. So I want to tell my constituents, I'm always there with you. I've been with you for a long time. If you believe that I'm not in the constituency as much as I should, you must understand that my heart is there, my work is there, but I have of necessity to work with the other seats so that they can win the government. You have a chance to make history. You have a chance to make Cashews East, put it on the map. My fate is in your hands, and I hope you do what you've done for 5 times. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pierre, and again, I wish you all the best in this journey. Really looking forward. I think at this point, St. Lucia needs that steady kind of leadership, tried and tested leadership, not all the showmanship. And we know that you'll get it done. You've done it for 5 terms, well structured. So I'm really looking forward to you being Prime Minister because St. Lucia really needs to get back on track, definitely. St. Lucia, thank you for joining us for yet another edition of Chill and Chat with Honorable Philip J. Pierre. We will be doing a number of series with him, so you can look forward to that. Again, thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, St. Lucia, for joining us.
Thank you.